Are you looking to do some fun pleating projects in Clo3d? Well, today we're going to talk all about pleats. Hi, I'm Christina, and I love to digitally apparel pattern, creating unique pieces of wearable art. And I absolutely love working in Clo where I can pattern it and kind of see it before I actually have to make it. If you enjoy videos like this, please make sure to like and subscribe so you can see other fun, maybe sassy sleeves, or other draftings in Clo3d, as well as some tool deep dives. Well, let's dive on in. I'm going to open up my Clo3d board here. And before I get too deep into it, we're also going to talk a little bit about the fold tool. Because when you're making pleats, you also have to kind of deal with that fold tool. Because when you think about it, when you're pleating something, you have to be folding fabric. So the first thing we're going to look at is, let me get the fold tool right here, and we're going to just click on an internal line. When you are using the fold tool, you'll have to be using that with the internal lines, and that can, when you actually click on it, you can come over here and see the current fold angle. Right now we have this line at 180, and if I go perpendicular to it, we can see a circle that I can change, and as I change it, it actually changes this number over here. I'm going to undo that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of it when you turn it one way, or when you go lower, or when you go higher, it changes the fold direction. So we're going to change this red one. We have it changed to 10, and we have this blue one changed to 350. So you can kind of see which way it's going to fold and which way it's not. So then I'm going to go ahead and simulate, and you can see how they're now kind of closing up. One's closing one way and one's closing the other way. That is essential for when you're working with pleats. Now when you actually are using like the pre-pleated tool, you won't have to worry about this too much as long as you have done your calculations right. And same with the sewing tool. It's just something that you should kind of know and be aware of. So if your pleats are going wonky, you can kind of fix it yourself. Next, we're going to dive into here. We're going to go with an example of, say we have 5 inches of fabric. I actually have no idea how long I prepped this for. 9. We're going to want to put 5 pleats onto this fabric. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to split this up in uniform split, and I want to split it into 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So that's will be the face of every single pleat that I do. I'm going to do the same for this bottom one, but I'm going to do a 1:3 ratio pleat. So my pleats are going to be as deep as they are visible. So I'm just going to times 5 times, if that was actually whatever this length was, I would times by 3 so that I'd have the proper length. But since I already have it pre-prepped, I'm just going to pull this up to 15 so that I have that. We're going to do the same with the bottom, uniform split. Tick it up to 15, and then we want to do internal lines. So I want to move it 1.827. So we're going to offset internal line. We're going to offset 1.827. So it's hitting right there, and we want to do 14 offsets. The reason why we don't want to do 15 is the 15th one would be back at the other end, so it's not necessary to do. So when you're actually working with pleats in Clo3, you are going to want to pre-prep stuff like this. You don't have to prep it every single line. I always like to prep it every single line, but you do have to give it 2 different lines at least to prep. That'll make sense in another minute. So now that we kind of have this prepped, we're going to have it automatically fold it for us. So we're going to come to our pleat fold tool right here. We're going to click and double click, and it's going to bring up a box. Now we can either do knife pleats, we can do box pleats, or we can do accordion pleats. And then this is also going to, this is where you can go if you want to go in the opposite direction than what you said. As you can see here, there is an arrow pointing this way, so that's the way my pleats will go. If I wanted to reverse the direction, it would now go in the opposite direction. Then it also is asking you, how many lines per pleat do you want? I did 3, and that's so that I have the first fold, the second fold, and then the line up to that fold. That's just so that it helps my brain when I'm patterning my hand. I have all 3 lines so I can, so I don't get confused. That always helps me. So I always pattern with 3. Some people don't. And then we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And it didn't really do anything, right? Wrong. If you go in and you look at each one of these, you can see this fold angle is at 0. The next one is at 360. And this last one is at 180. So that's basically making it so that this is pleating to this line. And then this line is just going straight. We can, let's unfreeze this guy, and we can actually see it fold together and pleat. Just like that. So that's that magic of the pleating tool, pleating it down for you. So that's the prep to actually sewing those pleats. The next thing of what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do the sewing. And again, you have to have it prepped so it can see that there are 5 segments here. And then you want this to be also right. And you can see how it's kind of actually sectioning it out into the 5 different segments. And then it also did a separate little sewing. So if we look at this closely, this is sewing to this face, but then it's not actually sewing to these other 2. It's just kind of collapsing it down in between and sewing it. I can show you an example of how that works once we can actually do it ourselves. Maybe we'll do that. And then let's go ahead and sew it. And you can see, there it is. You can look at it from the side maybe, as it kind of collapses down. Now you can also see it is being a little bit cranky. Like it's not, there's some waves to it and everything. One thing that I also sometimes find is really helpful is if you want to solidify, no, not solidify, sorry, wrong thing. We want to unsolidify, we want to strengthen. If you strengthen your pleats and let it simulate, that can kind of help with some of these wrinkles that are happening. But there we have it. That is how you can at least start to use that. We're going to move on to the next one. So we now have this other one that's kind of pre-prepped for us. And I'm going to show you kind of what the tool is actually doing for you and why it's so much easier to use it. So I do already have this bottom one separated into 15. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to split this top one into 5 so that we have that. So then the next thing that we're going to have to do is we actually have to pre-fold everything for us. Well, I'm not going to fold it for us. We're just going to sew it and you're going to see what happens. It's going to be great. So I'm going to use my segment sewing tool. You can see we're actually not fully segmented. I have a full line. So the one thing I can do is I can get into my Z and control over all of these. And then let's extend, add point to pattern outline. And now when I scroll in, I have different segments. Then we're going to do some segment sewing. So this is kind of where you have to use your imagination. And we know this line is going to be folding to this line. So we want to sew this guy to this guy. And we want those to be close. And then we want to sew this guy to this guy. We also will want to sew this one to that one. Now, I am actually, no, I'll let it be. So again, now, so this fold, that's the back, that's the return, that's where it started. So this is the next one. So I can start by sewing it up there, but then it also needs to get sewn there and there. This one's the next one. Close, close. Next one. Close, close. Last one. Close, close. Now, if we actually simulate it, you're going to see it pop up, and what is it doing? It's trying to still maintain every single one of these at 180 degrees. So that's what the prepping tool is so nice for. I can just go and be like, oh, I wanted to fold those knife pleats 3, and we're good. Let's resimulate it. Ugh. It might need to go in the opposite direction. It might have needed to go in the opposite direction. Let's see here. This should be 0, 360, 180. So it actually is right. It's just probably being a little cranky. So let's go ahead. Let's reset 3D segment. We've put the fold on it. If we resimulate it, it fixed it for us. However, it still looks like it's doing a little bit of a bulkiness turn right up in here. And one of those might be because a few of these lines did not fully get turned. So because I actually sewed these myself and I didn't have it do it for me, I did not go through and change the custom angle. The custom angle is the other part that really matters. You can see this one's kind of poofing out a little bit. It's poofing out because it's set to a custom-made angle, so it's like you're trying to press those seams flat. If we change the custom angle to turned and resimulate, we can see it actually flattens it out very quickly, and it makes it look much nicer. So that's kind of how that works with that. That is kind of the basics of those pleating tools and how you can use it and manipulate it, and how much faster it actually is to use. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe so you can continue to see other tips and tricks and deep dives in tools, as well as some fun, maybe sassy sleeves or other fun pattern draftings. I look forward to seeing you in some of my other videos. Happy patterning!